On DTV, intensive care area where your first admissions first come to you. Can you explain to me what exactly is it that your dedicated volunteers do?
Well, their tasks are varied. They have to feed and clean all these little fellows in here. And for example, these birds here need feeding 10 times a day. So that in itself is a commitment. Then all of these in here are on some sort of treatment, like antibiotic injections or nebulizing or wounds being dressed, all that sort of thing. So a lot of those are twice a day too, so that's quite another sort of a commitment. Plus the girls now are making up food for, this looks like western barred bandicoots. These are an endangered animal that they're getting their food ready, and all their food's got to be weighed before it goes out because we have to monitor to see what they're eating every day. And then we've got Helen here who's getting all the food ready for these tiny birds who are making all this noise behind me. And then she'll be feeding all the birds and animals in this hospital section this evening.
So here we are in the treatment room where we're about to treat our wonderful little bobtail or blue-tongue lizard that we have here. And June, explain to us what the procedure is in the treatment room.
Well, this is where all the treatments are done, either by our vet, whereas we have a resident vet, or a vet nurse, or a senior member of staff who's gazetted to do treatments every day. Now, this poor fellow's come in with, he's been attacked by a dog, so he's got all these abrasions all over him. So, he's routinely on an antibiotic, plus we put some Dermacleanse cream on his wounds every day. He's a beautiful specimen, isn't he? Look at him, he's a magnificent animal.
And I believe that you take note of where these animals are found and you actually return them exactly back to the same area that you found them. Tell us about, especially with the bobtail lizard, why that is so important.
Well, with these people, with these bobbies, they mate for life and they always go back to the same partner every year. And that's the only reptile in the world that does this. And we feel we need to respect that and return them back to where they came from so that he can find his mate again next year.
And that's truly keeping in tune with the environment. I award you for that.
And they're such long livers too, this fellow could be anywhere between 30 and 40 years old.
Wow, that's almost as old as I am. Say no more. Okay, June, well, obviously it's not just all birds, is it? And reptiles. What's his name and what species is he?
Well, he's a Macquarie tortoise, actually, so he's an eastern state one. And this is a good illustration of what people shouldn't do. They brought him over from over east, had him up in the hills here somewhere, and he's escaped. And now he can't be released anywhere here. So it's really a tragedy for him because, he should be way over in Melbourne, Sydney area.
It is sad, actually. Another reason why keeping pets as wildlife as pets needs to be seriously considered, and I believe you actually have to be licensed in order to keep certain wildlife as pets.
Oh yes, CALM have very strict rules on that. As soon as an animal has been rehabbed, if it can't be released, you do need a licence for it.
And this area that we're in here, called the aviaries, is this the next sort of step in a rehabilitation of the animals that come through here?
Yes, when they come out of the intensive care area, they'll come out into these aviaries because they've got to get their feathers in good nick, they've got to learn to fly again, get their flight muscles working, and generally get ready for going out back into the big wide world.
That's wonderful. And who transports them back? How do you coordinate that? Is it the people that bring them in? Do you ask them to come back? Maybe they volunteer?
Well, there's two types of releases. One, if it's an adult bird or animal, we try to get it back to exactly where it came from as quickly as we can, so it's not displaced. And then the second type of work we do is releasing the young ones that we hand rear. And we've got 15 aviaries now up in this hills area, which we take them out to, and the people actually do what we call a soft release. They release them from the aviaries and then back feed them, and they come and go as they like until they've found their own food sources. But we really do rely on people's generosity, and when they bring an animal in, most people will now donate.
Yes, I experienced that myself last week when somebody brought a wattle bird in and immediately donated the $24 that it takes to care for each admission. I thought that was just wonderful. And I'd like to thank that lady who brought that bird in and their children. They were really concerned about what was happening in their environment around them and really, really happy to help. And of course, that's the sort of people that Kenyana really need behind them, don't they?
We certainly do. We need the whole community behind us.
So if any of you are in the hills area, or maybe even down in the foothills, or you just care about our wildlife and our environment, then please don't hesitate to give June a call. We'll show the number on the bottom of our screen. And now we're going to have a look at a bit of a feeding session here with Froggy, and I'll hand you over to June to explain how exactly they feed their animals here.
Well, this is a tawny frogmouth, and we feed them on mice. Unfortunately, this one's a bit imprinted, that's why she's here, because she won't go and hunt. If they're not trained properly, they can't hunt for their food. So she likes her food handed to her.
And of course, you don't feed all of your animals live food or mice, as we know. I believe that Coles Kalamunda has something to do with contributing towards Kenyana's bill as far as the food goes for the animals.
Yes, they've been absolutely marvellous because of Coles' involvement with the chocolate bilby. They've carried that through here because we're a local community facility up in the Kalamunda district, and they've taken on supplying us all our perishables for the week, which is a real great help.
Yes, and I can imagine that without the generosity of local business and, of course, business amongst Perth, that it would be very difficult to run this installation and continue to do the good work that you do. I was wandering around the cages and I noticed that you have got sponsorship from a few people, including the WWF. Can you tell me what they do in conjunction with Kenyana Wildlife Park?
The World Wildlife Fund for Nature. Actually, we applied for a grant from them to complete this bilby enclosure. So now we've got our breeding program up and going.
Maybe you want to have a look at sponsoring the Kenyana Rehabilitation Centre, because really it is a community service, isn't it? I mean, we are keeping these animals back into their natural environment, despite the fact that unfortunately it's usually human intervention that brings them here, isn't it?
It certainly is. It is the human who is causing all the problems, I'm afraid.
Well, we thank you for your community involvement, and we'll come back and have a look at those bilbies, as I said, when it's night time. See, even the lorikeet thinks my makeover's pretty snazzy.